This week on the show, JJ and I talk about, JJ goes to Morphettville, I go to Cranbourne for the Meteorite and the Cranbourne Cup. Talking of the Meteorite, Barraquil will be the pin the tail horse. JJ gets one back on me. Last week, Aliana, he gets the right price there. This week, Sets, he's got a few. I find it a little bit difficult at Cranbourne, so we'll see what happens there. And the Group 1 set, we go to Perth. The Railway Stakes, 1,600 metres Group 1 race. Should be a belter. Let's have a look at the Jules and JJ show. Hello and welcome to the Jules and JJ show. My name is Julian Valence, joined in person from just off the set of The Territory, James Jordan. JJ, how you going? Good to see you.
I'm good. It's a new setup you got here. The Joe Rogan
These
vibe.
Are brand new.
Yeah, it's good. It must be Theo Von then.
Trump wins, so we get some new stuff.
It's impressive though. The branding's good, and hopefully the show doesn't
Pity
drag
about
it down.
the content, huh?
Can't fix that.
Let's get into the track intel, hey? Lead us off here, JJ. We're back at Morphettville. What's the go?
It's finals day, which is a culmination of all these heats that have happened. So you get a lot of horses from the country and they come to town, Port Link in the southeast. So that's what Saturday is, finals day. The rail's in Troogs. We've got big fields, obviously. Bit of rain forecast on Saturday. It's a good 4. I think it'll probably be a good 4, but there is a bit of rain forecast. So if that does come, then maybe you'll get a downgrade. But generally, when the track goes back to the true, it does race pretty fairly. The wind can be a factor, but it's a 20k southwesterly, which is pretty average for the course. So I reckon it'll race fairly. Don't think you need to be worrying about horses drawn wide in the chute. They'll be fine, but every horse should get their chance.
Beautiful. Okay, so that's good intel for Morphettville. Victoria, we go to Cranbourne for their meeting. Obviously, the Meteorite, which is a bit of a slot race, and obviously the Cranbourne Cup, 1,600 metres listed race. Out 3 metres the entire circuit, which sort of had me just checking my numbers again, just in terms of why they wouldn't be in the true. So something's obviously gone on the inside there for such their big day. So surprised it's out 3 metres. Anyway, it is. Good for hot conditions. So I think they're going to irrigate plenty probably Thursday night, Friday night. So just keep an eye on those times, races 1 and 2, how much juice they do put in the track. But going to have to get an upgrade, you would think, at some stage to a good 3. Throughout the meeting. I think forward of midfield is an advantage with the rail out 3 metres on a good track at Cranbourne. They might run some really good quick times too, so better class of horses. They might be busting up the standard, so just be careful when you review it. But that's how we're setting up the track analysis for this week. Okay, JJ, well, it's a place we don't know too often. We go there sometimes, you get in trouble, and then you come back. It takes a long time to get there. We speak of Perth. It is the Railway Stakes. It's a Group 1. It's a 1,600 metres for those that don't know. Handicap usually gets big numbers. Eastern State horses like to go across there. Just for some historical talking about this race, and as we always talk about, history doesn't guarantee you success in the future. But you've got to go back to 2013, a horse called Lucky Grey won up with 58 kilos. Since then, 2014 onwards to now, we're obviously in 2024 to 2023, no horse has been able to win the Railway Stakes with more than 53.5 kilos. Now, I'm not saying that any horse with more than 53.5 kilos has got none here, but it does give us a bit of a guide to the kinds of horses that do win a race like the Railway Stakes. Obviously, you've got some Eastern State horses as well, which sort of dominate pointy end of the market as well. Got to go back to 2015. A horse called Good Project for Chris Waller was the horse that won it as well. So many have gone over there from the Eastern States. I speak of sort of Sydney in particular and Melbourne, and have failed. And plenty have done it in that time period. So there's a bit in the Railway Stakes historically. Going through that, let's get to 2024 and some relevance about this.
It's probably
race.
Dominated by the Eastern State horses carrying more than 53.5, so it's going to be a good test to see how it pans out. Look, I had a look through some of the main chances, obviously looked at the visitors from the Eastern States. There's a couple of things I want to note. There's some awkward draws for some of the leading locals, and they're probably not up to the class of some of the visitors. Light Infantry Man's the first, obviously, of the chances. It's going to probably map pretty well from that inside gate, but obviously we learnt in 1,000 Guineas, it takes some riding that horse, and I took a bit of the first half of the Flemington Straight for J-Mac, not just any old jockey, to get the really best out of it. In the last 150, it was strong. So it's got a good gate in terms of it'll be maybe 2 or 3 back on the fence. but it's going to need room and time to wind up, which it might not get. So that was my sort of thoughts on it.
Just with it quickly, I sort of had it, and I know people, it's J-Mac, he's not going to get into this spot. I sort of thought 3-back rail.
Yeah,
Light
it's going to be in an awkward spot. And did you think its win rated that well?
No, it didn't.
Margins?
So,
I didn't have it rating well.
We wanted to be with it that day. Absolutely great. It was on Oaks Day. It was the last race. There was plenty of rain just before the race, but it still stayed as a good 4. But the race didn't rate any good at all with me. So it's sort of going there on the fact that, okay, Camp, Jock, Eastern State horse that's just won. And I know it's been sold in the market, but as the market's sort of up behind us, sort of 440 it and good support for Belclair as well, but not so sure about.
I agree. And I guess you look at it, you see that the other main chances are drawn so wide. You see that low number next to it, but Belclair's the horse I like. I had something on it yesterday when I did the form. I think it can find the front. There's sort of one or two that'll be positive.
Comfort Me might try and hold, but it's the only other horse really that's got the natural aggression from the gates. You would have thought.
And I just think it'll be. I like it being up forward there. I think it's going to be an amazing sort of high pressure race. So I thought it could win. No fluke about its last couple of wins.
They're good numbers too.
It's got a synthetic hoof filler in. I saw that, but there's degrees.
Numbers aren't
of
terrible on this.
No, it's it can be literally the smallest amount of putty basically in above the shoe, or it can be significant. So it depends on. It's like a broken arm, you've got a hairline fracture, or you've got the thing compound fracture. It's a big difference.
Numbers suggest, as we always talk about this, the numbers suggest that don't be too worried about synthetic hoof filler. There's a lot of other things that happen with your legs and feet, in particular for horses, that I don't want to be part of. Bar plates, those kinds of things.
Blue on shoes.
Concussion plates. But this one, it's not too bad. So I'm with you there.
I like Belclair. I've had something on it. I think you can find the top or outside leader and be very hard to beat.
Okay, so that's one of those horses. I think from a map perspective as well, there's a couple of horses that are really important that either can generate some speed into this race and make it difficult for Belclair to get across. The one in particular for me is Zip Away, which is all the way down the bottom with 53 kilos. I think if they want to win this race, they have to be positive from the gates. I think if they decided to be negative, I think it takes it away, but it also gives a bit of an advantage to Belclair, and Nash can probably get across and end up sitting outside lead or even take it up, which I think is not what you want to do. Another horse like Sox Nation as well is probably going to make a decision to go forward as well. And then it can just make it a little bit harder for Belclair, that if those two horses do decide to go forward, it's not going to be cut and dry that this horse can sit outside leader or go forward. So it's an interesting horse. I didn't have an opinion. To be honest, I marked it like $6.50 the field. So I know up behind us you can see that Light Infantryman and Belclair are around $4.40. I just got no value in either of them. But I couldn't also find a bet outside of them. I do want to lean towards the locals though. Okay. Just if I was to really, gun to the head, Super Smink is the one for me that I marked single figures, and there's double figures out there. Just their record overall is just outstanding. It's more or less like you're going into some type of mafia land.
It's like me when I get in the airport this morning.
How'd that go?
Duck out of water.
Yeah, for those that don't know, we are going 45 minutes late compared to when we usually an hour. Yeah, no, very. Yeah, producer in my ear. Thanks for that, Charlotte. So an hour late, thanks to your absolute garbage. That's the Railway Stakes, punters. All right, JJ, let's get to your SA set. And you've got a few here. You spoke about it off the top that it is finals day. So usually you get an amalgamation of all different form lines coming together. Sometimes that can be great. Sometimes it can be hard because if you're off the beaten track and you sort of like to play in some nice areas and not so much some bad areas. So it'd be interesting to see some of your ratings here for some of these horses at Port Lincoln.
I don't bet at Port Lincoln. I don't bet in the southeast. So it was a little bit of sort of movement and shaping a few things. But we need to bounce back. I reckon I had 4 last week, didn't get a collect.
Yeah, we'll say that. And I'm just going to say that. And yes, you probably didn't have a great day last week. But overall, the journey since we began, ROI, profit on turnover, is plus 35%. So, as I said, if you said that at the start, you're going to take plus 35.
I'll take 15.
Yeah, well, you might end up after these 4. Get on with it.
Race 2, Immortal Bliss. This is the first one I'm going to back. Now, this horse won its maiden really well, rated through the roof, went to its 3-year-old race, its next start in town, was off the map, ran really poorly. The other races these 3-year-olds come out of are all poison. Like not one of them's rated well. And this horse did have its last start in one of them, but I think it's a low bunch. This horse has since had a jumped out well. I just feel like maybe something wasn't quite right that day. Maybe
what was
just
the
had
SP
an off
in
day.
that second?
Like 230,
okay,
240.
so the number's right.
Yeah. It was off the map. I'm giving it another chance here. I think it can map forward, roll forward from the gate. And I just think the rest of them are limited. If it doesn't win, it's going to be a cluster finish, I think. So I'm with Immortal Bliss in race 2. Starts now, race 4. We tipped it on Melbourne Cup Day in Adelaide. It got the job done for us.
Yep.
Probably just a sort of slow maturing horse. It got the tempo it liked last start and was really impressive. I think there's good tempo again here. I think Jake Torek will try and mimic that ride on it. I think it'll be very hard to beat in race 4. Race 6, Big Stories in the Stayers final. Now, a lot of these Stayers are really one pace.
Not usually your go Stayers.
No,
either.
I hate betting in staying races.
Yeah.
But if they're filled that big, I think it's easy to predict there's going to be genuine tempo.
Yep.
And not many of these horses have a turn of foot, except for Big Story, who had the winkers on last start, was fully fit there, won impressively, but it picked up ground quickly, and that's what I like about it here.
Okay.
So I think it can beat them for acceleration in race 6, Big Story. And in race number 8, Super Alana, last start, going into last start, it had trialled probably the best it's ever gone, including its race days. And you think, gee, did it trial too well? Went to the races, backed it up completely, rated really well, went straight to the front, strong tempo the whole way, and was dominant. When it won that race, I thought, what are they going to do with it? If you see it 2 weeks later in a race, you think, nah. They've given it about 5 weeks between runs, 6 weeks between runs, and I really like that setup for it. So I'm going to stick with Super Alana in race number 8. A few of the sort of joints giving it a bit of a wide berth. It's on the drift at a few places, but wouldn't surprise me if the market tunes into it late. So they're the 4. Race 2, Immortal Bliss. Race 4 starts now. Race 6, Big Story. Race 8, Super Alana. Hopefully 2, if not 3 winners.
Okay, very good. And you can see the selections up behind us. Vic Set, as you said, JJ going at plus 35%, plus 46%.
Yeah, there was a tee up, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know. Well, I didn't really want to say it. I didn't want to go through it, but
wasn't sure how to bring it up.
Yeah,
you managed.
It's a bit awkward, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, that we know that will quickly turn. So I'm actually very, very conservative here at Cranbourne. I found this day really tricky. I found a lot of races with multiple chances, and I just couldn't really identify the ones I wanted to be with. But I'm playing in 2 races. We're going to kick off in the first. Horse called Dame Hood. It does not get the map that I really would like. Damien Lane on 54 kilos is what I do like, but I think, as I've said, forward of midfield is going to be an advantage. It's a small field, so hopefully they do go slow. I think in a small field, this horse has probably got the best turn of foot, so he can give away, or she can give away 3 or 4 lengths, this 3-year-old filly, and get over the top of them, just as long as the track is racing fair. But massive number on debut, Ballarat Maiden. For me, the market, I think, is completely against this horse. Everything that's come out of it has drifted in terms of other horses. I feel like I'm on Epstein Island here. I'm just in a really awkward spot with this horse. It's not ideal. And then it went to Flemington and was $9 out to $12. But again, it found its own position up the straight by itself, but ran really well and ran 5th and was great through the line, again at 1,000 metres. But again, the market was against it. So I'm just worried about what I've done with this Ballarat Maiden, and I'm completely wrong. We will find out on Saturday where I am at with that, because I am definitely against the market in terms of what they think with Dame Hood. But it was very good behind Manalo Bling. That race, again, I've got going really well. A few of the others, yeah, they're okay, but I just couldn't get them as short as the market. Then we go to race 5, number 10, Trapeze Warrior. Loved what it did at Cranbourne on debut, 1,200 metres. Big number, plus 6.5. Then it went to town and just didn't work out for it. And then it had 286 days, so maybe an issue. Then first up, absolutely went through the roof again. I think it was at Maui, big number. And then last start got beaten by Pisanello in the last race, I think on one of the big days, Stakes Day at Flemington. The number went well again. Sets up really well, nice draw, sits on speed. It's the real box ticker, I think, for me, Trapeze Warrior. I think it'll be hard to beat. So they're the 2 for me. Again, one I think that the market might take a set against with Dame Hood. Trapeze Warrior, I expect it to tighten right up. They're the 2. Okay, snaps or don't snap. So here, punters, as you know, we are trying to identify the horses that we think which way they're going to go. Are they going to firm in, take the price now, or are they going to drift? You don't need to back them yet. If you like them, you'll get a better price, put more cash in your pocket. 71 from 87, going at 82%. Again, if we wanted to put a figure at the start of the year and we said 82%, JJ would be happy. You got 3 for me. I think they're all don't snaps.
Are they the right horses this week, do you reckon?
Yeah.
Did you want to...
Well, so last week, I don't know what it was. I was in some type of zombie...
I think the word sabotage.
No, it's not really sabotage because the number's still gone incorrect. It's quite funny because you actually put in Goo Goo Guru or whatever it was.
Gotta go Guru.
Which was $4.80 out to about
50 to 1.
50s. And then I've, for some bizarre reason, in some type of zombie mess, not licking toads, by the way. Not
You
licking
put
toads.
Global Turn in. which was 460 rock solid and won by about 3.
Rock solid and 1v8.
Someone messaged me and said, you've got that wrong.
Yeah, so that's just for the people that watch the show.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the graphic was wrong, but you actually spoke about Goo Goo Guru or whatever,
Correct.
which did drift like a barge in the Atlantic Ocean. Give us your 3 this week.
I've got 3 starting in race 1. The Hass. This is a horse that's come over from Port Lincoln, has raced in town before. I think it's very short at 850. It'll jump double figures, in my opinion. Royal Majesty in race 2. It's a horse I've featured before. I've just got it not rating well at all.
Okay.
And I reckon the market sort of half is going to ease towards that. So 750 at the moment, I reckon double figures for Royal Majesty in race 2. And Tipper, race 6. It's won its last 2. It's a very consistent horse. It's honest. Just think the weight is starting to catch up with it. Finds a decent race, 440. Not for me. I think $5 plus will be available if you want to wait.
Water finds its level, and maybe Tipper has found its level as well, according to JJ. 2 for me. Bridal Waltz in race 1. Obviously, we're with Damehood. Now, this is a horse that I just have no numbers for, even when it won its maiden, and then I think it won at 64, and there's just no guts behind it. Now, its last 2 starts got beaten by Rich Dotty at Moonee Valley, and that race went through the roof, and it didn't have much luck. Finished 5th or 6th, and you could say, okay, maybe there's something there. And then last start, it ran 3rd up the straight, Flemington, behind a horse called Amelita. Now, again, I've got this race going no good, but it was the ride by James McDonald where it was 1, and then he got on the inside, and everyone got excited about it going, how good's that? And I think the race went well just because of that factor. And the second horse, absolutely, and the second horse was Vestas, which is probably unlucky as well. I think it's first, second only out of that race, and I think Bridal Waltz had every opportunity, and I'm just not so sure about it. You could take first, second, but I'm against Bridal Waltz. I think you'll get better. I think there'll be plenty of people that want to be with this horse. I think the market at some stage takes a set against it. I think you'll get a better price than the 360 at the moment at PointsBet. And in race 2, staying race, a horse called King of Enterprise. I just got no numbers for this horse at all. Again, won its maiden. Look, it's only lightly raced, but goes 15 to 2,000. Look, it's a really weak race, but I think $3.90, $4 might be short enough. And again, if you like this horse, I'm not saying don't back it, but I think you'll get a better price for that. So there's our 5. They're all don't snaps. What we're suggesting is don't need to back them Thursday or Friday. Wait to the death if you want to be with them. You'll get a better price. Snap or don't snap, done. Okay, we get to that segment where it's just not really relevant anymore, but he's clawing his way back, punters, pin the tail as we get to it.
I'll tell you something for nothing.
This will be good.
There's a bit of pride of Jenny about you. I'm just saying.
Well, not definitely in the Queen Elizabeth, because it's over. There's not enough weeks.
You were a long way in front, and it's that point of the race where you go, I think, is she going to run? Is she going to win or run top 5? So I reckon you're starting to put some small steps in.
It's 11-7, the leaderboard for the punters out there. JJ drags one back with Aliana last week. The SP at PointsBet was $3.20. I went with $4.20. JJ was a lot closer with the $3.70. See, well done. It was actually really solid in the market.
It was, wasn't it?
And I tell you what, we spoke about it on Pandora's Fox on Monday with Hutchie, that it, as you identified, we both identified, she's just a big track horse. Yep. She just couldn't get going around Caulfield.
At the 300,
yeah.
Couldn't even hold a spot, got pocketed. It's clearly the best horse in the race.
By
you
far.
want to follow, but round week Flemington, those tracks.
And I think we spoke about it on Pandora's Rocks, but I think maybe if they decided to go to the Australian Guineas 1,600 metres against the boys at Flemington in the autumn, that might be the race for it if they put up a price at some stage. All right, this week, this is a fascinating horse for me. It's Barraquil in the Meteorite, so the slot race worth $1 million. You go back to its form, and it just won at Moonee Valley one day, much to my chagrin, as they say, beating a horse called War Machine. And then it came out and just went through the roof again in a Group 2 weight for age race. It starts $12 in the VRC Classic, and you couldn't go to
proper Group 1.
Proper Group 1. To be honest, it hit the front at the 200, and it just seemed to get lost.
Yep.
And then obviously maybe you could say it was the last 25 metres saying, hey, I've had enough for the prep. Now this will be its 5th run of the prep. I don't think it's too far deep into the prep, but it has been.
You know, it's prep. It's only had that. I think it was 56 days.
Correct. Yeah, it was a letter.
It wasn't like it's had. So it's really like.
Yeah.
That's
smart. And this is where I think the market is trending towards with this horse. The market's suggesting maybe this horse has had enough because early doors, I think it was $2.30. You now can get sort of $2.70, $2.80 in the marketplace for Barraquil. So there's no doubt it's on the drift. You kick us off with what you've done with it, and could you back it at any stage if it got to a certain price point?
Right, I'm going with 340 as my SP.
Yeah.
Things I said, I reckon, a couple of weeks ago, I think this horse can win the Manikato.
Yeah.
So when you're saying that, you think it can't take care of these sort of horses. But I'm just
back
worried.
to a bend.
Yep. I think the bend's definitely going to help it, but I'm just worried where it is at the. This is not the grand. You go back
Afterthought, isn't it?
6 weeks ago and go, what's the Meteorite? Like,
Yeah.
I know it's there. They probably would have. They know it was existed, but I'm just not sure. It's got the class, but I'm not sure that it's going to be firing on the day.
Yeah.
I think it's too short to find out at the current quote. So I'll go 340 as the SP. As far as the race is concerned, I'd rather back Arkansas Kid. I'd rather forgive its last start, Arkansas Kid, and back it or Nadal. Nadal's got the upside. I thought its run was. Wouldn't say it was stiff and should have won last.
Yeah, I think
start,
a lot of people are saying that.
It was a good run. It should have finished a bit closer, but just you look at the sort of stats. Gates 1 to 5, handy are an advantage. Arkansas Kid, Nadal both drawn wide. Arkansas Kid might be handy. Nadal definitely won't be.
No, go back.
So it's going to have to defy the pattern.
Got upside though, Nadal.
It does. It definitely does. But 340 is my guess.
Okay, Barracuda for me, $2.90. So it's sort of getting to that price point now where I'm going to have to make a decision that I think if it starts with, if there's a 3 at any stage in the betting on Saturday, I'm going to back this horse because I just have to. Now, I'm also mindful that it may parade poorly and it could be just completely falling off the cliff, but it's just too hard to ignore for me. Back around the bend, I thought it was really good in that VRC Classic. Yes, the last 25 maybe a little bit soft, but I just think it got lost at the 250 and didn't know what it was doing. Back around the bend, I'm not too worried about deep into the prep. $2.90 for me for Barracuda. That's Pin the Tail this week. Plays of the day, JJ. Now, you're later than me, but for some reason I'm going to make you go first anyway, so kick us off.
Let's hope the horse does as well.
Yeah.
Race 4 starts now. We tipped it last start. It was able to win. Just think this is a pretty thin race. When you've got the sort of heats and then the final, there's nothing coming out of left field that comes over with all this upside. Like, it's basically raced against these horses and we've seen them. So eventually he's a hope in the race, but I reckon starts now can get the same sort of run it got last start. Appreciate the strong tempo and be very hard to beat.
Okay. That is JJ's in race 4 at Morphettville. I'm going to kick us off race 1 at Cranbourne. Dame Hood, as I said, I think I'm sort of very different to where the market is and what they think about this horse, but I'm trusting what I've done with the numbers here, and I think Damien Lane, 54 kilos, this filly can just sit off this speed and get over the top of them. So Dame Hood in race 1 at Cranbourne. That's our plays of the day. Okay, we've got a new sting. How about that? New sting. It's exotic fox. You know, there's like plenty of different foxes, not just the foxes you kill.
There's the Arctic fox.
Yeah, there's Arctic. There's ones that look like bats. There's other ones that eat crabs.
Really?
Yeah, well, not anymore. They're extinct.
Oh, okay.
But that was a type of exotic fox.
There you go.
This week, we're going to 4 p.m. for our hourly quaddie.
Yep.
Guess what happened last week?
You butchered one of the legs?
Yeah, it was in Sydney. And you know what the pleasure of what we do with the hourly quaddie? You say we've butchered the last 3. We've missed out on one leg. You know where it's always been?
Yeah, where?
In Sydney.
Yeah.
So you know what we're doing with the hourly quaddie? We're not going to Sydney.
Really?
We've brought West.
Can you do that?
Well,
West
hourly
is best.
quaddie is
You can
so
do what you
good.
want.
PointsBet,
Yeah.
you can do whatever you want. We're going to Ascot for the first leg of our hourly quaddie at 4 p.m. Race 2, 1, 2, 4, 7. Don't even think their market's out yet. So we're going 1, 2, 4, 7.
You'd hope you're
with
right.
a strength there. Then we go to Doomben, race 6. This hourly quaddie is over very shortly. 1, 4, 5, 9. Then we get to Cranbourne, race 8, which is the Meteorite.
Yep.
2, 6, 12.
Okay.
Which is Barracuda, Ray Magnerio, Nadal.
Yep.
Arkansas Kid.
You don't want it.
He's spoken about it. Put it in if you want to. Add it. I think it's the one.
Yep, it is.
And Morphettville race 7. You'll have the numbers.
I reckon it's 4, 7, 10, 13.
You are bang on, my friend.
Memory. It's not the easiest race, but I reckon with those 4 we should be all right.
And if we're alive in the last leg, then we've got it.
Yeah.
Because he's not going to let us down.
That's
it's
correct.
Not going to be
Take
Sydney
it
this
to
week.
the bank.
Take it to the bank. Just don't be cashing out. It's done. Anyway, that's the hourly quaddie. That was Exotic Fox. More Exotic Foxes next week. But JJ, we're done. You've been here.
Very good.
That was.
It's a I like the
pleasurable.
vibe, the new, like having the microphones, and
It's
it's good.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it is nice.
All
nice
right.
feel.
See ya. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe.
Imagine what you could be buying instead.
For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.